Oh man, Dave Chappelle is in trouble. He's in serious fucking trouble. Do you know what he's in trouble with? He's in trouble with Vice magazine. Now, Vice magazine have had a long history of hating Dave Chappelle because his stand-up comedy is offensive in all the wrong ways. This is from 2017. I won't go through it because obviously it's progressive whining about his jokes. But to be honest with you, I've always been a huge fan of Dave Chappelle, so I shouldn't be surprised that I really, really enjoyed it. And the thing is, I've loved Dave Chappelle ever since I watched like Half Baked when I must have been like 15 or something. You know, and I thought it was really, really, really great. Just the way he tells his jokes. And then I watched a bunch of his stand-up and a bunch of his interviews as well. And I love the way he tells his stories. He's very down to earth. And it comes from the fact that I suspect he was raised broke, as I should say, in a household that didn't have a lot of money, and so you had to be very real. You couldn't afford pretensions, because that's the thing. Pretensions cost money. You need people invested in the world around you, and you need to have a certain level of wealth to have pretensions. And he obviously didn't have that growing up. I think that's why I really appreciate his comedy. But anyway, his new Netflix special is called Sticks and Stones, and it is really good. It's really funny, and it's not very politically correct. In fact, you could describe it as mildly triggering if you were of a progressive persuasion. I mean, he goes through so much stuff that's just totally anti-PC. Like, I'm not a paedophile, but if I was, Macaulay Culkin is the first kid I'm fucking. Kevin Hart not apologising to the gay community. And the best one, this is such a good one. He's like, why can I say the N-word? Which I'm not going to say, because I can't fucking say it. But not the word, in fact, the F-word, because I can't say that either. And the TV producer's like, you're not gay. He's like, but I'm not an N-word either. It's like, oof, that's fucking good. That's fucking good. Like either they think that black people are, or that gay people are. And I can't say either of these words because YouTube is on a rampage at the moment. How awful is that? But anyway, he ends up calling out the LGBT community, saying that the trans community are basically holding them back. And it's like, oh shit! Saying that trans people need to take responsibility for his jokes, and then he does this, like, he's like, what if I was born black but feel Chinese? And he starts doing this Chinese impression. It's like, oh fucking hell. I am rolling as he's doing this, but it's just like, I'm rolling for multiple reasons. Like, dude, you are going to get in so much fucking trouble for this, right? And then he just starts calling out equality, saying women aren't equal to men, and they should shut the fuck up, like an absolute mad lad. And then he goes after Me Too, and it's just like, Jesus Christ. And he ends up saying, look, I can't live in this world that you're proposing. And it's like, yes, man, that's totally how I feel about this. It's like, I don't want to live like this. But, yeah, just the whole thing. And then he goes and calls out Jussie Smollett, which, honestly, the whole bit is just fucking hilarious. Like, I mean, like, there's one bit, he was in Chicago and he was the victim and just starts laughing. And he's like, the gays got angry at the blacks for not standing up for him. But we were supporting him with our silence because this guy was clearly lying. And then when, obviously, it comes out that these two guys were Nigerian, he just starts going, this is MAGA country, in a Nigerian accent. It was so good. It's just, honestly, I was just pissing myself through the whole thing. And, someone asked him in the Q&A at the end, like, well, what are you going to do if Trump gets re-elected? He's like, well, I'll probably get a significant tax break. And, like, he's just winding up the trans community. So I was like, why is the trans woman at my show laughing at all my jokes? And then I realised she used to be a man. Honestly, he's such a great set, right? Which is why it triggered the fuck out of Vice again. You can definitely skip Dave Chappelle's new Netflix special, Sticks and Stones. The comedian doubles down on misogyny and transphobia in both the special and the hidden bonus scene that follows. Well, excuse me, Taylor Hoskin. Maybe, if you don't like non-politically correct, anti-progressive comedy, you shouldn't fucking watch it. Dave Chappelle made a return to Netflix Monday with a new stand-up special, Sticks and Stones. And I tell you what, thank you very much for advertising this to me. I have a Netflix account, but I had no idea what the password was, and I had to go get that reset so I could watch the damn thing. Thanks for the advertisement. I wouldn't have known otherwise. Fans quickly realised that If you watch until the very end, there's a secret epilogue called The Punchline, where Chappelle answers questions from audience members who went to his separate Dave Chappelle on Broadway stand-up show, blah, blah, blah. He takes this anti-wokeness shtick to a new level. The whole thing is repetitive and exhausting enough that it's a slog to even make it to the Q&A. I love how they unironically describe what they do as wokeness. That's a joke to everyone outside of the politically correct bubble. The woke thing, that's not meant to be like... Well, I mean, I guess I'm glad you're taking it on board as your actual thing, because at least we can delineate you from the non-woke people. Chappelle's controversial 2017 Netflix specials honed his voice as a comedian wary of progressive criticism. No, he just doesn't care. He doesn't care that you're upset and that you're offended. That voice is even sharper in his latest special, where he's openly repudiating you and mocking your ideology. At one point in his routine, he says he doesn't believe Michael Jackson molested young children. He continues by saying that if Jackson did, the children should have felt lucky their first timers with the king of pop. Like, I don't see how that's anti-woke. Sorry. And obviously going on about trans people and the Chinese and stuff like this, it's like, holy shit, they're really upset. By the time the Q&A plays at the end of the special, Chappelle has already shown his unapologetic approach to courting controversy. His answers put that into even starker view. He says that a white woman left one of his practice sets for the special at the Punchline at the Comedy Club in San Francisco, telling him, "I'm sorry I was raped." Chappelle says he replied saying, "It's not your fault you were raped, but it's not my fault either, ta-ta bitch," to which the audience laughs raucously as if that were a real punchline. Oh, it's not a real punchline now, right? Okay, sorry. The arbiter of what is and is not a real punchline has arrived, everyone. The comedy understander has arrived, and she is not happy. This isn't real comedy. This offends me. He then followed with a story about sparking an unlikely friendship with a trans woman who he says was laughing the hardest out of anyone at the trans jokes in the practice set. The strange story of camaraderie seemed to highlight the common accusation that Chappelle is only interested in repairing his relationships with marginalized groups if he doesn't have to change anything about himself. Wow, that's really interesting. The first part that's really interesting is that you left out the most important part of that anecdote, which was the trans woman said they complain that you are normalizing X, Y, or Z when you make jokes about them, but they never mention that you are normalizing trans people when you make jokes about trans people. And he was like, wow, that's a really great point. And I noticed that the writer of this leaves it out because it actually doesn't seem to be transphobic, does it? But interestingly, why does he have to change? Why does he have to change? Apparently trans people are okay with his jokes because they normalize trans people, so why should he change anything? Chappelle has always been a daredevil comedian willing to take controversial stance or downplay serious controversy for laughs. But now he chooses to blatantly ignore the historic criticism against his style of comedy and the new loud and clear criticism from the trans community. Well, so what? He's not a progressive. Why does he have to accept it? Why does he have to care? I mean, like, if some evangelicals from fucking Westboro Baptist Church or something came along and were like, well, I'm sorry, this is blasphemous. You've defamed the name of the Lord, and you're not even listening to our criticism against your style of comedy, you wouldn't be like, God, Dave, why aren't you taking that on board? You know you really should consider being less blasphemous. That's the same thing that you're saying. You should consider being less transphobic. Why? Some of them are okay with it. It doesn't matter to him. His audience is the audience packed out. Give him a standing ovation at the end. Throughout the whole set, it's just raucous laughter. Like, he's doing really well. He is kicking ass. He actually doesn't have to accept your criticism because it seems to not be relevant to the comedy he's making and the audience that he is courting. He does not have to listen to progressive criticism because, let's be honest, progressive criticism comes exclusively from a place of wokeness and is fucking worthless to anyone who is not progressive. If anything, it may well even be destructive to his act to listen and be sensitive to your criticism without just roundly mocking it. His approach comes off like a defiant rejection of change at any cost. Or maybe he just doesn't have to change. Maybe he doesn't have to change to suit you. How unbelievably entitled do you have to be to think, you know what, this is this world famous comedian who apparently is even Obama's a fan of him. You know, I, Taylor Hosking, who links my Twitter and Instagram at the end of this article, I need to make sure that he listens to my criticism of him, because I am more important than he is. He needs to listen. He needs to do what I say. How about you shut the fuck up and just don't watch his sets? As he keeps going down this path, drawing attention to the worst aspects of his important career, the biggest cost will be tarnishing his own legacy. Oh yeah, I'm sure that this is going to be tarnishing his legacy. This is going to be burnishing his legacy. It's going to be making it shine. Do you understand? Because he is actually punching up. He even goes into the idea of cancel culture while talking about Kevin Hart and various other things that he's done. He knows that you psychos on Twitter, you woke mafia on Twitter, go around trying to ruin people's lives because you have hurt feelings. No, I don't even think necessarily you have hurt feelings either. It's just that he has crossed imaginary lines that you guys have drawn, and he's saying, look, I don't have to stay in this box. I just don't have to. And he is, thankfully, famous enough and popular enough for him to just go, you know what, fuck you. I'll do what I like.